Enthusiasts, it's me, AlvinMunk, and today on Inky News, this is the season 2 debut. We have Adrienne Kress, the author of the Bendy novels.
Hi. Thank you for having me. This is amazing. Yay, happy season 2. This is so exciting.
No problem. Thank you for starting off season 2 with us.
It's my absolute pleasure. I'm very excited, and starting off 2024 as well. It's going to be
yes.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Okay. So, let's see. We pull up the questions here.
Ooh, all right. I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Oh yeah.
The first one.
Ready. Okay.
Then, can you give us a little bit of background about yourself before you became an author? Like, did you have any hobbies or anything like that?
This is epic. This is already. We had a little chat before we started recording, and you were like, I have a certain number of questions, and if we get through them all, we'll do. I'm like, I'm telling you, question 1. Now this is all we're doing. I talk way too much for anyone else who has seen me streaming or chatting all fun things Bendy. But anyway, the answer to that is before I was an author, there's not actually that much time. So I've been writing since I could. So I've been telling stories my whole life, literally, out of the womb. And then once I was able, well, even before I could actually really write, I would tell my dad stories, and then he would type them up on the computer for me. But then once I could write, I started writing my own stories, like as a kid. So I've been writing for forever. But I definitely was pursuing the acting side of my existence much before actually actively pursuing being an author. So I went to theater school from the age of 11. Well, it was an art school, and I majored in theater. Nice. So I went through elementary school and then high school, and then I went to university. I went to the University of Toronto, and I majored in drama. And then after that, I went to England and did this graduate classical acting program at LAMDA, the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts, very fancy. And it was after I graduated from there and I stayed in London for a few years that I sort of started writing as I've always been writing the whole time, but this is where I started writing children's books. Because up until this point, I guess what had happened was, in high school, I'd taken creative writing classes because it was just my hobby. I just loved writing make-believe stuff, right? And then in my last year of high school, I took a playwriting class, and then, second to last. And then the next year, my last year in high school, we had a one-act play festival. It was a very artsy school that was all run by students. And one of my friends was going to be one of the 3 directors, and he chose my play to direct. And that was the first time I'd ever heard anyone sort of like a cast, like reading it and performing it. And I like to be funny. I'm not sure how funny. I think I have some funny moments in the Bendy books, but most of my other books are way, way, way funnier. And just sitting backstage and hearing the laughter and hearing people laugh and just on cue and react emotionally how you wanted them to, feels very manipulative in some ways, like a puppet master situation. Was just the greatest feeling. So I really got into writing plays, and it also made sense as an actor and a director, and I would write stuff and direct and I could just do it all. And in my last year of university, I was taught by this amazing playwright in her playwriting class. Her name is Janet Sears. She's a really wonderful Canadian playwright who I just worship to this day. An excellent teacher and an excellent human and an excellent playwright. And she really spoke to me during one of our tutorials and just like, I know you want to pursue the acting, but I think you should also pursue writing because you're good at it, and I'd like to see you do that. And up until that moment, writing had just been this outlet. Obviously, doesn't everyone just write creatively for fun? Like for just, and it didn't occur to me that maybe not everyone was as into writing as I was, and that maybe was something I liked beyond. So after theater school, and I was in England, I kept trying to write another play to direct because I did one of my plays at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I wanted to do it again, and I couldn't. I just couldn't. It was sticky. I just couldn't manage it somehow. And I love reading children's literature just as a grown-up. Like I was a big fan.
It's so cool.
The series of unfortunate events was still happening, so I hadn't completed yet. And I was sort of, every time a new one would come out, grabbing it from the bookstore. And I was like, well, you actively are reading this particular age range, and you know it very well. I would write, thesis papers comparing Alice in Wonderland to Peter Pan, like that. That was sort of where I was at. So I decided to try to write a kid's book, sort of early, like an Alice in Wonderland, like that style of book for 8 to 12, middle grade is what it's called. And I did, and I didn't stop. Normally I would stop any book I'd ever tried to write. I'd stop at 18 pages, but this one I kept going for some reason. And when I finished, I was like, well, how do you get it published? It can't be any harder than acting. And that's saying something, because acting is probably, the hardest thing, right? So like, if I'm trying to pursue being an actor, trying to pursue being a writer can't be any harder than that. So I did some research, and it was pretty much the same, get an agent, send your stuff out. I'm like, okay. And I did. And it's such an annoying story, I feel like, for people who've been trying for years to get agents or things. I got an agent pretty quickly. And I got my first book deal with my first book very quickly. But I will say, after then, it has been very difficult. So the first one was really easy. And then after that, I have been working my butt off for almost 20 years at this. So basically, even though your question was, what was I doing before? I have just answered like what I was doing before and how, and there, present time. Yeah.
Believe it or not, you answered not just the one, but you answered question 2 as well, which was so you're ahead of the game. Good job.
I'm amazing. What can I say?
I think the only other person who did that was Dave.
Well, I don't know. I feel like Dave and we're very similarly chatty. I think when he and I chat, it's very, so I that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. But in case you're wondering what question 2 was what age did you discover your passion for writing? You told me you were like basically since you were like
since I was able to communicate thought to another person.
Sorry. Same for me with writing. I'm not writing. With art. I've been drawing according to my mom. I've been drawing since I was 4 years old.
Oh wow.
So,
yeah. I admire that. I've always wanted to be good at art, and I went, as I said, to an art school where you had to take art classes. And the greatest achievement for me is one of my pieces in grade 8 was in the grade 8. So grade 8 was the last year at that school, was in my yearbook. They included, nice. And it's not grand. I almost feel like it was a pity, but there was a lot of people. Like there were like art majors, obviously there was a lot. So to me, that was the greatest coup, was having, because I'm not great at it. I wish I was better like all you guys. I did, when I was at U of T, I did want to double major in art history because I love art history. And especially since I can't do it, I'll learn about it and appreciate it. So, but it was too difficult. So I ended up graduating with a ridiculous number of credits because I had all these, random art history credits. So when I'm talking about your guys' art, just so you know, that is not, I don't know, sometimes people don't believe I am a very, this is me. I get hyper and excited, and I'm very bad at lying. I'm a good actor, but I'm a terrible liar. So when I'm like hyping you guys up,
very similar
I
to me.
just think what you guys, like, the art is so impressive, and I'm so in awe. And I think every stage as well. Like obviously you can see people who are like, they're earlier on in their writing, in their sort of artist's journey. But you can see, I've studied it enough to know, oh, you've got the basic. I can see you know what you're doing. And like, it impresses me like crazy. So I love all the well, art in general, but I love all the Bendy fan art. It's crazy.
Yeah, the Bendy fan artists love your characters better, which you'll see later. When we have some artist showcase, but that's besides the point. We're not going to shock it or surprise. We're going to leave it a surprise for now.
Yay! I like surprise. Well, good surprises.
Yeah, no, it's a good surprise. So you're good then. Also, sorry if you heard my dogs. By the way, they were barking, and my mom just got home from the store. If you did, so.
I love dogs. I mean, I have a cat, and he's asleep over there, but he might realize he's all alone. He doesn't like being alone, so when he wakes up, he might meander in. We'll see.
Aw.
Yeah, he's cute.
Because I have like a little multi-poo, Maltese hat poodle named Bailey. And then I have a big giant collie named Finnegan, border collie.
Oh, my dad had a border collie growing up, so he would always like point them, like, it's like I had one of those. There's a great picture of my dad from the 1950s, so it looks like from another time. It looks like, fade to black, honestly. He's sitting in front of his house. He's a kid. He's got his border collie here, which he very creatively called Lassie. Which, it was a big show at the time, okay?
No, yeah.
And then he had a pet. I think it was a raven. It might have been a crow, but it was basically he rescued one, and then it stayed with him for a long time, and it would only sit on his head. He wanted it to sit on his shoulder, like cool, but it would only sit. So it's a picture of this raven on his head.
That's cute.
Anyway, I love all dogs, but the collie.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna jump into question 2. Now we got all the puppy talk out of the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I think you kind of answered this, but you didn't give an exact answer. What is your favorite non-Bendy book you worked on?
Oh, dude. All right, that's always.
That's a loaded question, I know.
Sorry, by the way, I don't know why I'm coughing. I'm fine, everyone. I'm just coughing.
Okay.
I can't actually. Okay, I can't answer it in a satisfying way. It's really the classic, like, which kid is your favorite, thing. Like, obviously, there are some things that, like, oh, I like this better in this book or that in this book, but I really am. I don't know. They're all parts of me, so it's really hard to say. I don't have a preference. I think my very, very first book, Alex and the Ironic Gentleman, which is the one when I wrote in England and got the agent and everything. Obviously, there's like this extra soft spot for it because it was the very first book.
Yeah.
And I also, because as I was writing it, I wasn't aiming for publication when I was writing it. So I did a lot of very silly things. Like, a lot of my friends are in it. As some of them have their actual names, some were given different names, but like they're in it. And one of my good friends, Heather, is in it. And her dad, who's a dentist and also my dentist, would sometimes tell his patients that he was in the book. And Heather would have to explain, no, I'm in the book. You're just mentioned. Because I mentioned her father as a dentist, like in Alex.
That's cute, actually.
But he's not actually. Heather is actually a character in the book called Heather. So there is sort of that soft spot I have for it, obviously. But I wouldn't say, sorry, I'm just doing a long-winded answer in order to say I don't have one.
Yeah, no, I don't know why I keep asking this question, everyone, because like I can't. Not only does everyone give the same answer, but I also agree most of the time because as someone who's created multiple ideas I want to pitch one day as cartoons and video games, I'm like I can't pick a favorite. I can pick a top 3, but not a favorite.
It's hard, and you'd think the more books you write, the more sort of almost distanced you would get from it because one of the biggest lessons I learned there are 2 big lessons I learned as a writer. One is you don't have to write or create when inspired. I learned that writing the first book because I did a silly thing. I had almost finished the book, but I was blocked for sort of the very end, sort of the climax and denouement bit of the book, and Alex. And I was like, well, all the research I've done, you send out, and this was, so in England, they were still being very old fashioned, darling, and they were using snail mail. So you actually had to print packages and mail, like in the States and in Canada, they were emailing at this point. Queries is what they're called. But no, in England, you still mail stuff out. So I will send stuff out to agents. It says, minimum 2 months before you hear back, right? If they're interested at all. So I was like, that's good. And that will give me an incentive. I've always been the kind of kid who needed a deadline, right? Like something is due on the Monday, I'll stay up all night Sunday before, right? Like that's how I am. So like, this is perfect. This will give me the motivation. So I send out 14 query packages, which had a little letter and the first 3 chapters and a plot synopsis. The next day, so this is how good the mail in England is, in London. The next day, I get a phone call. So you can tell how old-fashioned this is. Mail, and somebody calls you on a phone. I get a phone call from one of the agents saying that they would like the entire manuscript, please. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can get that to you. So it was like a Tuesday. I can get that to you for Monday. Sure. And so then I had to write the rest of the book in those last few days. And that was the first time I'd ever truly written fiction, not like, obviously I'd written essays and stuff, but fiction under the gun, where I have no choice. And honestly, the last section of the book was probably the least edited section of the book. So it's like, not only can you write creatively and not feel inspiration, it can also actually be kind of good. So that was one of the first big lessons. But the second one, this will get back to the number of books and all that, I will weave us back there, was after I wrote my first book, having to write a second book and realizing that you can write more than one book. That's sort of, because people put so much of their energy into that first novel. It's you think of MFA programs and stuff where people, it's like all about their novel they've been thinking about for years, and they put it out there. But you do have more than one book in you, and you get a lot less precious about it, but it doesn't make it less meaningful to you. And I guess that was sort of my point. So once you learn you can write another book, and then another book, and another book, it doesn't make writing books any less difficult or any less meaningful or impactful for your soul, but it just makes it, the knowledge that you can and will be able to do it helps push you through those harder times, right? So you would sort of think possibly you would get a little cynical, or you would get a little distanced, because now you're sort of almost like a writing machine, right? And a lot of books I write, like the Bendy books, are very, very tight timelines. I don't have the luxury of a year, to write something. There are adult books out there, I remember talking to one author, and she'd been working on a book under contract for 7 years. I'm like, that's amazing.
That's actually really cool.
But it doesn't happen. It's fascinating. The more you write, the more you learn about yourself, and the more you grow as an artist. And maybe that's why, because every book is this new version of yourself that you're putting out there. So you care just as much. And it just, you never stop caring, basically. I wish I could a little bit. Sometimes I think I care too much. But yeah, so yet another version to answer the same question.
I agree. With the sense of like the whole like, oh, you can like produce more than one book and still feel passionate. I agree with that. Kind of tying it back to Bendy a little bit, based on what I remember, the Meat and Lee talking about years ago in interviews. There's one interview in particular I saw. I forget where it's from, but he mentioned that him and Mike were working on a project before Bendy, before Bendy came out, like chapter 1. They were talking about how like, oh, we're working on another project, but Bendy blew up and we were able to expand the story because of it. So we dropped that out of project and worked on Bendy.
Yeah.
I wonder what that project was, but it's besides the point.
I do too. I know exactly the interview you're talking about. I'm like, what was it?
Yeah.
And will you go back to it? But also, I want more Bendy content, so don't.
Yeah. The Meat and Lee said he is working on more Bendy stuff, so that's exciting.
I mean, we know, yeah. I know, I'm very excited.
I'm excited for the Bendy figures to come out later this year.
Oh my God, this is going to be a great Bendy year, right? Because they also said the Cage was coming out this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That and the Jax figures are my two most excited things I'm looking forward to.
And I think they've been working on the Cage long enough that I think a lot of people are like, wow, that's fast. But I think they have a lot of it. I don't know. I'm not speaking from any authority. They're just a fan. But just from like, thinking about how things get put together and at the stage that people tend to make announcements, which is usually later on in the process. Because, so I imagine they've been working on it for a while, and then they felt comfortable.
Probably have,
Yeah, because some people are like, what, this year? I'm like, I think they've been working on it for a bit.
I'm thinking it'll either come out in October. No, obviously it's not like a big. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I don't work for them, unfortunately. Please hire me. I'm kidding. But anyway, I don't know like what like their like plan is, but based on like what the Meatley and Mike both wrote, like how passionate and like active they are with the development, grabbing pieces and like making original assets for the game too. Nothing they said nothing is like
Yeah.
they said nothing's reused from Dark Revival. And
Yeah.
you can tell like on the like they actually really improved the artwork. Slightly from Dark Revival. You can tell because like there's like black outlines now. It almost looks cell shaded, which is really freaking cool.
The little bit they've shown, I think they're having a very good time, and I think they're excited. I think sometimes working within, and I think this is sort of, it's funny, I feel like they're having my experience that they've like generously given me. I think working within a set of sort of where you're sort of constricted, so you're given certain parameters, but then the freedom within that can be so freeing in some ways. And I feel like for them, because they're working within a very specific story, like it's a, it's I guess the story of their escape or something, like that sort of.
I think they said it was Henry's escape from the pit section.
Yeah. So, so you're working with like, you've restricted, which honestly, I personally think gives you so much more exciting freedom and sometimes creative. Like when you're just facing a blank page, it can be daunting and kind of like, where do we
makes
go
you think outside the box when you have like a little bit.
Yeah, we have to work, and it's it's the same thing here. Like I have parameters in with which to write the books, but I feel like that has allowed for so much creative freedom in its own special way, which has been really fun.
Okay, so Bendy nerding aside, guys.
Yes.
For now, we'll get back to it. I need to see the other question. Okay. So this one is a Bendy. We're trying to get. Actually, I'll answer these two more before we get into the completely Bendy questions. I'll get these two out of the way. This kind of ties into Bendy. You know what? It's two kind of very similar questions. Because like Bendy's a video game and a cartoon character. So I ask this question every time. Who's your favorite video game character? And who's your favorite cartoon character? And why?
All right.
If you had to pick one.
All right. Cartoon characters a bit easier. I love them all. But I'll always have a soft spot for the sweet, lovable sidekick. Like I love Boris. Okay. Like I've always, there's just something like the sort of put upon sidekick. Yeah, my little Boris right here. Hi. But I don't want this to imply that I don't love them all. Like I genuinely love the trio, especially Bendy, Alice, and Boris. I just think they're all so charming. In the game.
Oh no, I meant like any cartoon character. It doesn't have to be Bendy.
Oh, you meant in all time?
Yeah, in general. Yeah, in general. Because I only tied it to Bendy because it's like Bendy's a cartoon. He's also a video game character. I tied it to that. Sorry.
Time? I like really cute ones.
Sorry about that. I just dropped the bombshell. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I really don't know, but I can't actually. But the one I will say, because I have a figurine of it. It's over there. I should have brought. Louise's Coochie Kopi from Bob's Burgers. As a doll is very cute, but whenever they bring him to life in like a fever dream, or generally actually it's always a fever dream, there's something about him that just kills me. I think it's the funniest thing and also so cute. And my husband got me a Coochie Kopi now I have, excuse me. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Sorry.
Take your time, Adrienne.
Sorry. Okay, so here he is.
Oh, that thing. I never watched Bob's Burgers, so I didn't know who you're talking about. So I'm thankful you pulled it out.
So Louise is the youngest daughter, and she has many toys, but this one is her favorite, and he also is a glow in the dark, so it keeps her sort of feeling safe. But then there's a few episodes where both she and Bob have weird dreams, and Coochie Kopi sort of figures in them, and it's like there's one musical one. And then I'm obsessed, one of the games, out of breath. I love Hollow Knight. But that's not really a cartoon. That's like a game character.
That's game character. That's the other question.
So I can answer that for the game question.
Yeah.
I love Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight's great.
Obsessed with this little guy. Obviously, I own him. My favorite is he doesn't speak. I love characters. Okay, Coochie Kopi speaks. But I love characters that don't speak, and everybody else speaks too. So I love that, this noble warrior, shows up, and his cape, blows in the wind, and but he's shorter than most of the characters. So he'll just stand there and sort of look up. And then a giant character will be like, noble knight, welcome to the kingdom. We can see that you are going to save us all. Oh, you have nothing to say. Well, you are the strong but silent type, And all you can see is Hollow Knight being like, but he is, and there's his sword nail. Anyway, he's just so freaking cute.
He is. I have a friend who will appreciate that answer. Sorry.
I really love the game. I find the game so beautiful. I'm a huge Art Nouveau fan, as we know my art history. So I like the Art Nouveau period, a 10-year period. This is one of the smallest art history period. It's 10 years. I think the art is so beautiful, and the music is so great. That's also one of the things I love about, obviously I love the art style of Bendy as well. I love the music in Bendy as well. Music.
Hollow Knight's beautiful. I will say that.
Yeah. I
have the game. I just haven't played it yet. One of my friends bought it for me because they were like, the friend who really freaking loves the game bought it for me. I'm like, they're like, dude, you got to play this game. Come on. I'll buy it for you. Just play the darn game.
You have to play it.
I haven't played it yet. I'll play it on stream eventually.
Yes, it's very difficult. I have to admit,
I heard.
I'm not the greatest gamer, so generally I play the easy bits, and then my husband, I hand the controller over, and then he plays the hard bits, and I just point and tell him to do things.
Cuphead trained me to get good with games. Cuphead trained me to do that.
It's hard. It's a tough. I couldn't figure out why a platformer would be this hard, but it is but it's worth it. And as you discover new worlds and unlock, it's just so pretty. It's so pretty, and he's so cute. And there's these pools that he regenerates in, and I just want to go into those pools. Anyway, all right, so there you go. I've answered. So I guess, but when it comes to cartoon characters, I have a lot of cartoon characters. I just thought because I had show and tell, Kuchikopi was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway. Well, not my favorite cartoon. Well, this technically can be both. Max from Sam and Max. I love this guy.
Oh, I agree, actually. Very cute as well. Yes, that's a good.
I have Sam over here, but he's way too big to bring into the frame. So
yeah.
He's double his size. So.
Oh, wow.
Sam's the dog. He's like, if you ever read Sam Max, it's like this giant 6-foot dog in the series. Who is they're both detectives for those who don't know.
No, I know exactly. I
was thinking for the audience. I'm guessing you know, but I'm saying for the audience in case they don't know. Now you do. Please play Sam Max. It's really good. Anyway, next question is, now we're going to jump to one more book question, and then actually no, not one more question. This is but one more kind of general book favoritism question.
Okay.
Then we're good. But I originally wrote down something different, but I want to change it so I can make it easier.
Okay, thank you.
So it was originally favorite Bendy book you worked on, but I know it's gonna be near impossible to answer. So what I did was, just now I changed it to give me one of your favorite quotes from each Bendy book you wrote. The 4.
You think I remember quotes from them?
Or maybe a favorite scene.
Harder. Okay, yeah, let's do favorite scene. Again, that's very difficult.
Sorry.
Are spoilers allowed in this?
Yes.
We're just assuming. Okay. So
it's not during the artist showcase till we get to a certain point, but yeah. Now it's good. Now it's good for spoilers.
All right.
Spoilers turn away, people, if you don't want to hear anything.
So there are 2 scenes in Dream. There's many. Obviously, but 2 scenes in Dreams Come to Life I really enjoy. I've shared one that I feel like everybody enjoys it in the sense that they all hate it. So I feel like that's good. When Joey makes Buddy pay for dinner when they're at Sardi's. I just really enjoyed writing the whole scene, but it was just this perfect little non-violent, hugely dramatic, world-changing scene that perfectly captures Joey's awfulness. And also what makes him hilarious. You're just oh, Joey. And it was.
Oh,
it was a really good also character beat, the fact that Buddy's oh, okay. Like he can't say no, sort of thing. Like he doesn't feel like he can, you know, so many little great little character things in it. And I've just loved seeing people talk like how upset that scene makes them. And that makes me so happy because it should, but it's also, yeah, I really like that. And then there's also a scene, I don't know, I'm not sure if anybody's ever really mentioned it, but towards the end, it might even, gosh, forgive me, it might even be the last scene with his grandfather. Throughout the book, Betty's grandfather has been staring at these paintings, and these paintings were his. Well, they're not, he owned them, and sent them back to North America during the war so that the Nazis wouldn't get them, essentially. And there's one painting he's been staring at that's in their room, and throughout. And then finally in this sort of final scene, he's explaining the difference between anger and hate. And he's saying that anger can be good, it can fuel you, but hate like destroys, essentially, sort of thing. And at that point, he sort of reaches forward and we see that the painting, there's like a hole, basically somebody is punched out. Again, it's very subtle, so I'm not even sure that people are putting two together, but the idea is that in my head, I had him in Poland when all the horrible, you know, everything awful is going on. He's so full of rage that he punches this beautiful painting. And so his anger turns to hate and destroys something that he loves, and he fixed it and everything, but he's been sort of staring, and then he shows the hole sort of to Buddy. In that moment, and we realize that's why he's been staring at the painting, because it's there's been this hole there, sort of, and he sort of has shame and guilt, and it's this metaphor, and it's a very artsy scene. Okay, it's a very artsy, metaphorical, all your rhetorical devices used scene, but I really like it, and I think it's this quiet little moment, and just and that. What came next? Was it Illusion of Living came next? All right. I mean, I really like the murder mystery because I've always sort of wanted to write a murder mystery. So I was like, let's write a murder mystery for some reason. And it just turned into this great, another thing for Joey, where he just realizes that sometimes people just don't care. Like toward the end of it, he just realizes that even though the detective figures it out, and we have an answer that everyone's like, we're fine. Sounds like it was a bad guy and that was fine. And sometimes it's okay for people to die. But that's not real. That's Joey's perspective. We're supposed to be sort of on the detective's side. I mean, this whole story is told from Joey's perspective, so it's sort of complicated. Mm-hmm. But the idea is Joey's an unreliable narrator. He's not the greatest guy. And the detective's like, no, but justice has to be. And then the family who hired him, they're like, no, it's fine. And Joey's like, I guess it's okay. And also, this is a very rich family. I'm going to keep in touch with them for future reasons. Maybe they can help fund something in the future of mine. So it's sort of this, it started out just like, let's write a fun detective mystery, and ended up being this really great sort of yet another lesson for Joey in his strange psychopathic journey, narcissistic journey. Of course, anything with Abby in that book also makes me smile. Next is Lost Ones. Oh, I've talked about this one before. It's nice when I've answered the question before, because I'm like, I have it. Lost Ones. This is a very violent and dark scene. When Bill, sorry, I was like names, not Brant, Bill. He's starting to go a little. They all go a little nutty when they sort of engage with the inks, right? And he's just. He has major anxiety. So I don't know, maybe I was just feeling this as somebody with major anxiety. But he's just, I need to put the sound out in my head. And he's like, maybe I could drink something. I've seen the adults around me do that. And then instead he decides to bash his head against the wall and knock himself out. And I just feel like it's so violent. And I tried to write it, and I hope it came across, but I tried to write it as abruptly as possible so that it's almost like a jump scare. It's hard to write a jump scare. They're much more of a visual thing, right? But it's sort of this idea that he's thinking, and he's like, and I'm going to do that instead. Bam. But I don't know. There's something about that. The suddenness and the awfulness of it. That's awful. That I really like.
That book, before you said the Fade to Black one, when I was reading the book, the Lost Ones, I always like forget how it takes place in Atlantic City, New Jersey. That's a good like 40 minutes away from me. That's not too far away from me.
Oh, really?
So
I've
yeah.
never, the closest I've ever got to Atlantic City was I was an extra
Mhm.
in a made-for-TV movie about Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin. And I guess they were doing a bit where they were, I guess, working at a casino in Atlantic City. And I was an extra. And they had all these people, like 100 or more people we were all dressed up 1940s, 1950s. I can't quite remember, maybe 1950s.
Yeah.
And no, 1940s. And they had built the Atlantic City boardwalk inside of a giant hangar, right?
That's crazy.
Like a proper set, like, like not on location, like just, and it had light. It was so cool. So that's the closest I've ever come to walking on the Atlantic City boardwalk. But it must have stayed. Sorry?
Sorry, good. Sorry,
no,
good.
no.
Okay. Okay, sure. Okay. I'll say I'm more of a Wildwood, New Jersey person myself, which is another boardwalk down there. But
Yeah.
But
no,
like Atlantic City's cool. Good.
Yeah, no, I think I haven't. I'm not sure if I've ever been. I've been to New York, but I'm not sure if I've ever been probably to New Jersey. But from my understanding, yeah, there's tons of beach. There's tons of like different. It looks really really cool. I love a good boardwalk. I've been in England. They've got really a different kind of beach there, but it's still very very cool.
Yeah.
And then in Canada, we do have great beaches and some. We don't really have as many boardwalks. And then I've been down to LA a couple times, and I've walked along sort of like the Santa Monica Pier. I do love a good pier, like the things that jut out into the ocean.
Yeah, Wildwood has a couple of those.
Sorry?
Wildwood has a couple of those.
That's my favorite. Bob's Burgers, yeah, their fictional location has a pier.
Cool.
And then, do you want me to do Fade to Black? I don't have to.
Yeah, actually, if it's not actually, let's skip that one because it's so new. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, if it comes up like later during the artist showcase when we do have some spoiler art, so I listed it for non-spoilers.
Yeah.
So
that's smart.
But yeah, because a couple of people wanted to like drop out when the spoilers came on, like the artists, because like a couple of them haven't read it all the way yet. So let's see. The next question is, what were your first impressions of Bendy as a series? Did you know what Bendy was before landing the role of the book author?
Oh, that's a good question. I did, but only just. I knew about it because of my husband. So he's much more of an active gamer than I am. And he's like, I found this really cool game. So we're both filmmakers. We co-wrote our horror movie together. He's a director, producer. So he's, we love movies. We love the history of movies. We're just yay movies, and TV. So he's like, he keeps trying to find games for me that he knows I'll like. And he came across, he's like, I found a game that I think you'll really like. It's sort of like these sort of haunted, like Fleischer style cartoons. It's sort of like also like this old studio, sort of the history of film. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. We talked about, I don't even know if he must have showed me a little bit, like a little trailer or something on YouTube. He must have, right? But it sounded really cool. But then I don't know, I guess I don't like why, we never moved past that. And then I got an email from my agent. I don't know how, relatively soon after that. It was in it was meant to be. Scholastic had reached out to her asking if I'd be interested in auditioning for Bendy, to write for Bendy and the Ink Machine. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that sounds really interesting. But hey, is that the same game? And I started looking at art and so I'm like, I think this is that. This is amazing. This is everything he would like. I think this is that game. And then Scott comes home from work. I'm like, Scott, is this the game that we were talking about? And I read it out and he sort of jumped. I was sitting on the couch. He like jumped over me on the couch and sort of sat next to me. He was like, what?
That's funny.
Yeah, I think, and this is also how I am when something really exciting happens. I get really insular because I get scared maybe a little bit that it'll be taken away if I'm too excited. So I was more like, is this the game maybe. And he was like, oh my God, it's the game. It's the game. And I was like, okay. And so, yeah. And at that point, then I put in, I did a ton of research before I auditioned. Like I was dreaming Bendy. It was actually kind of overwhelming. But yeah, so I did know about it. But not in the way, obviously, that I had played it many times. And oh my God, my favorite game. Like I wasn't there. But I do want to reassure all fans. Not that I don't think you have to be a fan necessarily if you are writing sorts of things, but I am genuinely a fan. I am. And as I a big, I mean, literally, I wouldn't have so much Bendy swag if this was just a gig, right? Like it's kind of ridiculous. I'm a big fan.
I need to buy that mug. It's really cool. I know it's on the Bendy store, but like it's so cool.
It's cool, and it's also textured. Like I don't know if you can tell. It's God. If I hold my hand here, maybe you can see. See, it's sort of 3D. Can you see that?
Yeah, I heard like the ink parts are 3D, right? They
yeah, like
a little bit.
It's a little bumpy. Yeah, it's really cool.
Actually, it's really cool. There's another one that I saw. It's like a bunch of Bendy sketches. It looks like on the mug.
Yeah,
that one's so freaking cool. I want the button-up shirt version of it.
I know. You should get that. I was thinking about that too. I have a lot of the T-shirts. I have the jacket because I was like, I want that jacket. I have the pens are great. Like I
actually been thinking about buying them. Are they good?
Would they be a bit? But you know what? They flow so nicely. Like you almost have to put no pressure. Like they're genuinely good pens. They're not just fun. They're like the job of pen. They do very well. I really want the watch.
Same.
With Bendy, like this one.
Yeah, I want that one too so bad. Yeah. Dave puts on his Twitter. It looks so good.
I saw it and I was like, oh no, give it to me.
Dave, if you're watching this, you convinced both of us to get the watch.
Yeah, the watch. Team watch. There's nothing there. It's sad.
Yeah, no, same here.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, you answered the question. Sorry, I had a brain fart for a second.
Time.
And then you answered this one. Let's see. What is? Okay, this one's kind of cool. This probably be another long one, but it's gonna be very interesting. Okay. What is your process for coming up for a story of a Bendy novel? Like your basic, like, do you have like a process of doing it or?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, what is it? How do I do it? Gosh. Well, they're all sort of different because sometimes I'm presented. I have a lot of freedom, but at the same time, there are sort of usually certain particular things that obviously.
Yeah, basic idea.
So with the first one was just funny because that was like, I know this is meant to be because we are like literally and metaphorically on the same page. So basically the email said that they were interested. This is the game. They're looking for a young adult, a YA book set while the studio was open. That was sort of what like the one sentence. And I was like, all right. So while I'm researching and stuff and brainstorming, and also I'd ask some questions like, what are they looking like? Is there any more information than that? So while I was thinking about it, just because that's how I automatically just start brainstorming. I can't not, even more, knowing if I have the job or not. I was like, well, if it's young adult, but it's an adult game, technically. I know people of all ages play it, but technically, right? So we want to make them, let's the oldest we can go, so like 17. So let's make sure, the protagonist of the game is male. Let's make the protagonist of the story male. Let's sort of mirror some things here.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's there, so what, 17, the 1930s or 40s. So I don't know, he could work there. Maybe he could be like an apprentice. And obviously, since it's all about cartooning, surely he should be an artist. Like that would make the most sense. Like, yeah. But this is such a visual art, like, they're all cartoons. It should be about art. And I'm like, oh, I can use my art history knowledge. All comes back to those useless art history credits. So I sort of came up with this idea. And then after the weekend, I think, or where I get the follow-up email with essentially, well, we were thinking of someone who was maybe around 17 years old and they're like an apprentice at the studio. And I'm like, perfect. So we had literally had like the exact same idea. We were like so on the same, like, that's exactly what I brainstormed. So that worked out very nicely. With the Lost Ones, I think, yeah, they had an idea for a trio of characters, which I thought was super cool. And then
I love trios.
And then not in New York. And I was like, all right, so why and where? And then it made so much sense to me with Atlantic City, because at the time with things like the Ferris wheel, like all of the, like, it was actually a really high tech place. Like the stuff they were doing was really interesting. And also in my head, I just had the whole, you know, the whole Bendy land thing would still be, you know, in his brain. And it's such a, you know, amusement park of a city, right? So it made sense to me that, you know, that the ink machine would somehow, you know, we figure out what, you know, it's there. And then everything just sort of fell together that way. With Fade to Black, yeah, it had to be, so it had to be later. And this one there was a bit more back and forth. I had a couple ideas and they were like, no, we don't want to do that quite, you know, and this, and you have to understand every, you know, idea, then I write a thing, a very brief, and then they go over it with a fine tooth comb on their end, right? So it's really, yeah. I say this like, yeah, and then I did this, but it's actually this conversation back and forth between us, right? And then, yeah, so then we sort of landed on the timeline of, there's a very brief period where he tries to get TV to work in the timeline. And then if it's set in the 50s, well, it's like TV is such a 50s thing. And then I was like, well, what are some of the 50s, what are some of the TV horror tropes that exist, right? So something coming out of your TV, or your TV being possessed, or, you know, and then of course 3D glasses were massive in the 50s. They were like the thing when you went to movies, and you see it in contemporary movies set in the 50s. You'll always have people wearing those little glasses. So it just felt like such a great sort of 50s sort of horror. Like I like to play on tropes. I like to play on, like, you know, so if we're in this genre now, it's a bit, I know a lot of people don't like, it's no longer the last Indiana Jones, the second to last Indiana Jones, the one with the aliens. I know a lot of people don't like it. And I don't think it entirely works either, but the idea that it's set again in the 50s and not the 30s, and that it is about aliens versus, you know, the sort of the supernatural and Nazi, like, you know, I think made a lot of sense. Like we're referencing this period. Anyways, so that's I guess where that came from, and then again back and forth, and again stupid things like, since I guess I'd done Buddy, I had 3 characters, right? But I had done Buddy, so I was like, I guess I could do a girl lead because I'd done a boy lead. Like it was very like, I don't know, fairness. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think I get inspired by a germ of an idea, and then I question sort of, well, what if, and what else? And I sort of dig around it. It's like, all right, this is set in the 1950s and we're into TV, then what? And then what after that? And then what after that? And it sort of builds out. Sometimes that will start with a character. Yeah. It's like, if this is my character. So if I have a 17-year-old art apprentice in New York City, why is he an art apprentice? Where does he live? What's his background? You know, like it just sort of, like, it's like, you know, in dropping a pebble and the ripples, you know, come out.
Yeah, it's I was gonna say it's like a massive effect, ripple effect.
Yeah, it just, and all the what ifs, like it's just, well, if this, then surely this, and if that, well, then it must be this, and if that, and it sort of, it comes in, and I wish it was quite that easy, as if like the story just naturally then wrote itself by like just following the ripples. But there are things in the way. There are logs. There's, you know, the shoreline. Like things get in the way of the ripples. But yeah, I think that's generally how I write too. I sort of, that's an amazing idea. Like I'll see something, I'm like, that is so cool. Now what? You know? And sometimes it really ripples out, and sometimes it just sort of sinks like a stone. You're like, I got nothing. That was just a really good idea, and I'll let them keep using that great idea, and I'm just going to move on to another idea. But yeah, there's a lot, and again, there's conversation back and forth. There's a lot of, just, it's just been great. It's a really nice process and fun and exciting.
Yeah. Thank you for breaking down your process. I love picking the brains of the people who are involved. It's really fun. We're gonna do 3 more questions, then we're gonna move on to the artist showcase.
Woo-hoo.
Let's see. So we have okay, here's I'm gonna say this one I'm gonna do this one first. If you could bring one item with you home from the cycle which the game takes place in, what would you bring with you? Like from the cycle to the real world, what would you bring?
Oh, from the cycle to the real world, because I do obviously would want a copy of the Illusion of Living, but that's in both worlds. Yeah. So
compare notes.
I know exactly. Like, ooh, wait a minute. Oh gosh. I mean, I guess I'm going to assume bacon soup is an Inky world thing, and not
anything you find in there. Anything you find.
All right, because I really like bacon, and every time I see a bacon soup, I get very excited. It's one of those things where I'm like, yes, I will eat that bacon soup. So let's say bacon. I've always I don't know, like I would love a little figurine can of a bacon soup. I would love that.
Well, the Nendoroid company who makes Good Smile company makes these chibi figures called Nendoroids.
You're right.
They're mostly popular in Japan, but they're making Bendy ones now. They're making a little Bendy cartoon Bendy and Ink Demon, and the little Bendy comes with a bacon soup can.
Okay, all right, then I will get that, because I don't actually have an Ink Demon. I have these two. I don't even have an Alice. I need to get an Alice. But yeah,
she's downstairs.
I think the bacon soup. I love bacon soup. Well,
That's
I like,
a good answer.
Like potato and bacon stuff. If it is bacon in it, then
yeah. There's an actual recipe in the Bendy employee handbook.
Yeah, I know.
It's really cool. I haven't tried it yet. I want to make it. I want to make it for a video. I think that'd be cool.
Oh, you should.
Let's see. Second to last question is. So I'm trying to pick from which one I like the most here. Okay, this one's interesting. I'll pick a random character you created for the Bendy books, and because I originally wrote down we can tell one of your characters this, but I'll just pick one of them for you. Because I think this would be really cool. So let's say Buddy, for example, Buddy Lewick. If you could tell Buddy Lewick one thing, what would you tell him? Anything.
Don't work for Joey Drew. Don't do it, man. I know the money looks good, but it's not worth it, man. Don't do it. Especially because your grandfather's coming, and the more you bond with him, I bet the more you'd be like, maybe you'd go to art school, maybe you do other stuff. So yeah, don't do it. Yeah.
I love that little response, giving them a little warning about what's to come.
Bro, no. Stop.
Okay, I lied. We have 2 more questions. 2 more questions. I lied.
Okay, yeah.
So we have personal hopes for the future of Bendy as a franchise. If you could pick the direction, where would you want it to go? And we have the movie already coming out.
I know. I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, I am too. On Christmas Day, I was bouncing off the walls metaphorically.
Yeah,
I was so excited.
I mean, obviously, huge. The film is my blurred. I mean, I just hope they keep. I guess I hope they keep going. I was very excited when they announced the cage, because I was just like, they are so within their rights to be sick of it, to go whatever that mystery project was before they did Bendy, right?
Yeah.
Do other things to work with other creators in the gaming world. They've earned the right. I mean, they've always had the right, but so I'm just I don't really have. I don't know. I'm excited to see where they go with it, I guess. I don't know. I'm at the end of Dark Revival really heavily implied that we'd be moving into some gent stories, right? That would be very cool, I think. The gent stuff would be very, very cool. I I'm just happy they're continuing. Like, I'm just like, I was so happy when they announced the cage, because I'm like, oh guys, you're still doing okay, good. And I'm excited to see what the movies will be, and I'm excited. Yeah, I just want them to still feel inspired and
Yeah.
love what they're doing and keep going and to surprise us. Like, it is nice to give us fans, what we want. Like, it's like, oh, can you do this or that. But at the same time, I like to not get what I asked for. Like, I like to be surprised. I like,
Yeah.
oh, I hadn't thought of that. The cage, for example, I would not have thought of doing, it's like a small sort of, it's almost like a bottle episode from TV, like where it all takes
That's
place.
actually what I was hoping they would do, like before they jumped into like the next major Bendy game.
Yeah.
I was really hoping they would do like either like a spin-off or like maybe fill in some of the gaps between Ink Machine and Dark Revival, which are kind of doing with the cage, I think. Or just like exploring other characters like that they haven't really got to spend time with.
Yeah,
So we get to see Henry again.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think obviously I think everybody wants more Henry. Can't get enough of Henry.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm just excited. Honestly, I'm very excited to see where they're going, and I'm just happy they are continuing to go. Again, if they want to take a break, I will not fault them either. But
I won't. And then last but not least, the final question of the day. You ready?
I am.
Do you have any tips or advice you would like to give to anyone who wants to write or act? Mainly writing, because I know that's what you're known for, mainly. But you can give acting tips too if you want.
I don't get a lot of acting work, but I still.
You can give some tips for both if you want.
Yeah, see, there's no way to answer this concisely. I'm so sorry, artists. Okay. So for acting, my biggest tip is if there's anything else you love as much, do that instead. It sounds so cynical, but acting and writing, the arts in general, is really, really hard. But the difference between acting and writing is acting, you need other people.
Yeah.
The beginning to do your art. Sure, you can act in front of a mirror, and it is nice that you can create your own TikTok or you can do your own YouTube channel if you want to do your own sort of, especially with sketch comedy stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you still need an audience in some ways, but it is better than it used to be. But generally, you need somebody. As a writer, you can or an artist, you can sort of do the whole thing. And then you put it out there. And yes, we're not creating in a vacuum. Obviously, part of it is the conversation we have with our audience. Like, no, I don't mean a literal conversation. I mean the experience of putting something out there, them consuming it. Like, that's sort of in and of itself a conversation in a kind of way, right? But you get to do it. So acting can be very frustrating. It can be very demoralizing. It is very, very appearance-based. And I don't necessarily mean like pretty or not pretty. Literally, it's like, oh, we wanted a redhead. It's like, oh, sorry, I'm not a redhead. Like, it's very based on so many other things than the actual skill and the actual talent. So if there's something you love as much or even more, pursue that, and maybe act as a hobby. There's a lot of options. But if acting is the only thing for you, as it is for me, I mean, also writing, but like, if you absolutely have to keep pursuing it, just be professional, and be thoughtful. And again, you see so many stories of especially the older, like, Hollywood actors getting, super drunk and going out on stage and stuff. But I once worked for a nerd website where I would review films and then also interview people. And I got the chance to interview Taylor Kitsch for John Carter, which is actually a quite decent movie. It just had the worst marketing campaign in the history of marketing campaigns.
I know about terrible marketing.
I asked a similar question, and I think because he was this, young, hot Hollywood actor, and he's surrounded by these people, he would just be like, if you have to be on set the next day, go to bed early, have all your lines ready, just be professional. Yeah. Don't be out partying for forever the night before, that sort of thing. And I think you should approach everything with that. But I think for some reason with acting, and I think keep honing your craft. You are your craft. So, you take lessons, but don't take all of them, because there is sort of an industry unto itself of people charging other people for acting classes, and it just becomes this sort of almost pyramid scheme. So, but work on yourself, create stuff for yourself, And never pay, this goes with anything, never pay to get an agent. Agent makes money once you get your work. That's a really big one. Never pay. That's a scam. So you get an agent, they're like, awesome, we love you. Then they send you out for work. They get 15% of whatever you earn. You know, you're a team. You're not paying them for the privilege. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
So that's acting. Writing, there's a lot of similar things. Don't pay for an agent as a writer. If you want an agent, you don't have to have one. But I do very much recommend it. My agent, Jess, she's amazing. I've been with her for over 10 years, longer. I mean, maybe it's close to 15 now. With writing, well, I've talked a bit about realizing that you can write when you're not inspired, realizing you have more than one book in you, all of that. I think the biggest piece of advice for anybody in the arts in general is that anybody you ask for advice has the way that works best for them, but that might not be the best for you. And don't be mad at yourself if it's not. So my advice with that is listen to all the advice you get.
Yeah.
Take them on as individual tools, put them in your toolkit. And maybe you like a screwdriver. Maybe that is the tool for you, and that's what works for you. And you don't need a hammer, and you've never needed a hammer, and people keep offering you hammers. You're like, thanks. And then, but don't, so just focus on your screwdriver. Don't worry about the hammers. Don't feel bad you're not using the hammers. But if one day your screwdriver breaks in half or just isn't working for some reason, maybe give a hammer a try. So sometimes, for example, for me, I was always a pantser, as they say. I would just start writing and see where the story took me. I'm like, I don't know. And part of the fun for me with the writing was the discovery of where we were going in the story in my own brain, right? If I plotted it all out, well, what's the point? I'm bored now. But I discovered very early, I think even with Alex, that the way that I can finish a book is if I plan out sections at a time.
Yeah.
I have a general sense of where it's going, but then each section I sort of sit back, I think, I work through, and then I write. So I still have space within that section to then come up with a new idea for the following section. But I still have some structure. And it took me a while to allow myself to be the sort of person who had a bit of structure, who created a synopsis, who like did that, because I'm like, no, I just write and see where it takes me. And I was being a little stubborn about it. So that was me, using my screwdriver and then realizing actually this little hammer might actually come in handy. But I've also been to so many theater schools. I've been to so many arts classes. I've been to writing classes, even visual art classes. And I've had so many teachers. I've had really amazing ones. I've had fine ones and I've had terrible ones. And I've seen the effect on my fellow students when a teacher can't give the answer that satisfies them, or the student is trying to do the way that the teacher said, and it's not working for them. And it's like, I remember once with one of my actor friends, we were going for a walk, and she was like, I keep trying this thing, and I'm doing it. It's just, I don't know. I'm like, and I said to her, you don't have to do it. Like, you don't have to. Whatever gets you there, gets you there. You don't have to do that method. And she was just, again, it's not that I was saying something she'd never heard, but she was so frustrated that I think it would blew her mind because she was so insular on herself. And so for me, that becomes become a message for mine. It's less about telling you, I do have advice. We can do a one-on-one and I can be like, look, maybe we should try this, or maybe you need to just forget everything and do some stream of consciousness writing, which I find can be really helpful, where you just start writing. You're not allowed to take your pen off the page or your fingers off the keyboard, and you just write for 5 solid minutes straight. And if you can't think of something, you just write, I can't think of something. Ooh, the sound of my keys. Oh my gosh, my brain is going fried. You just go. You don't stop. It can be a way to free yourself from all the ink demons in your brain. But yeah, my biggest advice is whatever gets you there, as long as it's ethical. Whatever gets you there, gets you there. And don't try to impress anyone, any teachers, any authors or artists that you admire. Just you do what you need to do. You don't have to write every day. I don't write every day. And people say, if you're a real writer, you write every day. I'm like, you don't have to. But if writing every day works for you, which it does for a lot of my friends, write every day.
Yeah.
You'll find what works for you. And it's so hard to be creative, especially right now, because I think we're all very stressed out from the last several years. It's really hard to just relax into creativity and just go for it. Being hard on ourselves because we're not doing it right.
Yeah.
It's just this unnecessary level that we just don't need. And by the way, I don't practice what I preach. I totally get on myself about this stuff. So I feel like I've just talked a lot and just blah, blah, blah. Hopefully all that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, that's sort
To
of
me at least.
okay, good.
I'm assuming it'll be the same thing for everyone else here, but
And again, like you can also be like, okay, but that's not the advice I was looking for. And I can be like, yeah. It's okay too. Like if you're like, meh, all right, fine, whatever, but give me real advice. I'm like, I'm sorry. That's okay too. And also, I've had so many, because I've done so many workshops with kids. I'm like, am I allowed to do this? I'm like, of course you are. You're allowed to do anything. It might not be good. You might hate what you do, or somebody else might go, that's not working. It's not communicating what you think it might be. But that's okay. We learn, we grow, we discover, but you can't discover without trying. Try and fail, man. Failing is the worst feeling, but it's also where the most growth happens. So try and fail.
that was beautifully said, Adrienne.
Oh, man.
And now we're going to cut to the artist showcase, but not before I make the major announcement everyone was looking for. I was teasing on Twitter.
Yes.
So roll the clip, AlvinMunk, from the future.
It's time for a word from our totally real sponsor.
There's these classic Bendy characters. Oh, hey enthusiasts, it's me, Connie McConnor. I'm here to show you a great deal on Aaron Lane's Streamily page right now.
AlvinMunk and Aaron Lane have teamed up to bring you a new Bendy Streamily print designed by Brandon Rourke, aka AlvinMunk.
With this special offer, which is just the basic offer, you can get an Aaron Lane signed print with AlvinMunk's artwork for $47 US plus shipping and handling. Isn't that a great deal?
If you are interested in buying this print, please go to www.streamily.com/Bendy. Or you can check the link in the description. And thank you, Aaron Lane, for the opportunity. Now back to the show. Okay, enthusiasts, we are back. Hope you enjoyed the ad, by the way. Please check the link in the description for more information. Now we are starting the artist segment or showcase. We have everyone here. Is everyone ready?
I'm ready.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm ready.
All right. So, as usual, new year, same drippy demon. And yeah, I'm never changing that, by the way. Drippy's here to stay. Let me have the same Joey Drew quote every time, because it's such a good quote. That wishing impossible is just human nature. The try got started. Just a pencil and a dream.
Nice.
So friendly, you're up first.
Hey, this looks familiar.
Yeah, I wonder.
Oh my gosh. So I'm gonna start my timer now. So the backstory of this is there's another game called Dead by Daylight, and I really want a Batum chapter for it. And one thing that some licensed chapters in the game will do is have other characters as cosmetic skins. And so I took a crack at making headcanon designs for the characters from Dreams Come to Life and the Lost Ones. And so left to right, we have the characters. I think the girl on the left's full name is Dorothy. I don't know. I don't remember reading her. Is that Dorothy?
Yeah, dot short for Dorothy. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. And this is just how I imagine the characters looking in the books. And I am excited to see how accurate / inaccurate my prediction is for Dreams Come to Life when the graphic novel comes out. I am so excited. But yeah, this was made a while ago, before I was introduced to the pen sensitivity setting things that I was introduced to, which has helped. But this was back when I was still like practicing drawing a lot of stuff, such as like different poses and basic human anatomy and hands. I really struggled with Bill holding the wrench for some reason. But it was a lot of fun, like looking back on like trying to find like the fashion for the time and how they're dressed and trying to make it reflect like the backstory of the different characters. Like with Daniel, he's like in a simple pants and shirt, but like with Bill, he has like a more formal outfit and stuff. And I just tried to make the drawings reflect the characters themselves. And that's the drawing. That's it. I'm proud
I think
of
he
it.
did a really good job. I
amazing.
really like, my favorite one's Dot, probably. 'Cause
I love Sophie.
I love how he
I
made Dot.
love
I
Dot's
really like him.
pose. That's like such a. There's so much attitude in that pose. I saw this when you did it initially. Yeah, on Twitter. I mean, you might have posted it elsewhere before.
Oh yeah.
That. But yeah, I freaking love it. I think it's so cool. I think the poses are so dynamic. Like there's energy and action, and I would argue that Dot's probably posing the most in a still, and even that you can sense movement like in the skirt and everything. And you got the clothes so good. I really want both of what Dot and Constance, and also Brand's outfit. I would be okay with Brand's outfit too.
Yeah, I remember like trying to reread through the books, trying to like find the scenes where they're introduced, just being all like, why didn't you describe them, Adrienne?
I tried, but I'm not good at it. Look, guys, like this is why Dot, I think, has some of the most specific art, because most of these characters, every other character here is a POV character, right? And if it's from their POV, I just get so into sort of like, I'm me. So I'm not describing myself. Like, I'm like, look at me and my brown hair and bangs going out today, right? And also, it's not that I don't care. It's I love the people having their own creativity and just going with it. But Dot, because she's seen by Buddy, right? So he sees her, probably has the most specific look of these, at least this group. And which you've completely nailed. I also want her glasses. It's great. I love it. I love it so much. I'm so impressed. I don't know if you guys were listening. I don't know fully how it works. If you could hear all my nattering on earlier, but I was explaining how I always wanted to be.
They'll be able to hear it tonight on the video.
But I can't do art. So this is, I'm just so impressed by all of you guys' art.
It's so good.
So good.
Also, for reference, my 3 minutes has passed, so I'm good.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Friendly, for joining us, and I really am really happy you could join us this time.
Yes.
Number 2 is Mills, who wasn't able to join us, but they did a Bill cosplay. 1 second. Let me pull up what they wrote.
I love it. An adjustable wrench, man. I was a theater tech for many years, and one of our gifts at the end of one of our seasons were adjustable wrenches with our names engraved on them. So I have an Adrienne adjustable wrench. So I have a soft spot for adjustable wrenches, is my point.
That is the coolest thing.
So I got up what's it called? The description that they wrote for me. There were 2 descriptions, but because they originally sent me 2 images, but like I'll describe the first one because I only like for the sake of like making sure every image stays like consistent with like how many entries I give. I only did like 1 entry per person, but I'll put it up on screen maybe in editing, like the brown suit he had like wearing. It was really cool. Or they had Bill wearing. Jeez, brain fart. Sorry. But basically what Mills wrote was more accurate description. Like they basically said like I have a more accurate description, which was it's given to us by Constance in the book. And they give me a quote saying, he was in a long tan wool coat, fedora, and gray scarf. He was tall and strong looking. Every picture of his father, a handsome fellow. Sorry, I'm not good at reading out loud. A handsome fellow in general, though. He didn't seem to understand that fact about himself, or at least he didn't want to be seen to understand it. He looked every bit. Sorry, my brain's like really all over the place because I'm so excited. He looked every bit of the role of Casual Wealth. Constance Gray, Bendy, The Lost Ones, Chapter 11, page 86 to 87. And I think he did a pretty good job.
I agree.
Excuse me. I think they did a pretty good job of the cosplay here. It was really nice.
And it's actually interesting after what we just said that, yeah, I guess in Lost Ones, you do get the advantage of the other POVs seeing the POVs. So you do get some description, I guess. I think this is fantastic. I also think, I don't know if it's the point, but I think the great thing with cosplay is seeing somebody embody the character. So it's not just the aesthetic, it's also in the eyes. It's in, they're acting as well. And I don't know, I see Bill in their eyes, which I just think is really, really cool.
Well, once again, thank you, Mills, for submitting your piece. You did a great cosplay, and thank you for submitting your piece. Now we can move on to the next person, which is Mika.
Yes, this was the one we were debating.
If it was spoilers or not.
That's good.
Is this working? Is this
Yeah,
working for all of you?
It
I
is.
can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
All right. So yes, I was actually debating whether I had to put spoilers or not because of the Boris that was marked off in the center of the artwork. The little Boris thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
That was just a little nod to what happened to little buddy right here in the first book, Dreams Come to Life.
I really like what you did here. Oops, sorry. I thought you were done. Sorry.
And then the reason why that's eye is closed here is because she was still alive during that time, still alive and still present during both the Lost Ones and Fade to Black, even helping the main character in Fade to Black. So I just thought I have something in mind when I had to do this.
All right. I think you did really good with this.
Yeah,
I really like the spotlight looking texture you have here on the on the top, almost like lights coming down. And I really like the contrast of Dot and Buddy board.
I'm big into I don't know what they call chiaroscuro, like light and shade and dark, and I love the play of light in this. It almost looks a bit like hell, forgive the use of the word. Like there's something really Inky demon about it as well that I think is so cool. But I just think, I don't know, you guys are getting a sense of movement in your work. I find that so impressive. Like there's an energy to it. It's not just a static image. It's really cool.
I just realized I was muted the whole time.
Oh, no, we heard you.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I must have clicked mute by accident then. Sorry. After I realized it. Okay. Sorry, guys. Continue.
Thank you.
No problem.
And Adrienne, I really, really love your work, Adrienne.
Oh, well, thank you. And the feeling is mutual.
But I cannot get the book for some reason.
Oh.
I cannot get it on Amazon. They're so far away, the Philippines.
I know some of the Amazons don't have. It's very frustrating. I have a movie I made with my husband that's available on Amazon Prime in the States, but I'm in Canada and it's not available in Canada. It's like, why? I don't understand Amazon's decision-making policy at all. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, Amazon's weird with that.
Yeah. But I'm very glad. This is beautiful. Do you do this on the computer? Do you do it by hand?
Yes, I did it by hand, but it's by tablet, like
On tablet, yeah.
personal tablet. And
It's
I did
great.
it somehow like little goody two shoes style or something. I don't know.
No, I see what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Also, one more thing I want to comment before we move on. I really like the grain texture you have like here. It almost looks like you like painted on a piece of paper, almost like that texture. I love when people do that. I try to do that with my own work, like backgrounds. I love that. It's so cool.
Sometimes in my very like serious artworks, I usually use like grainy textures just for a look of emotion or feeling.
Well, it works very well here too.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mika, for submitting your work. And we're on to the last person before we get to spoilers.
Applause.
Which is Reanimation Station. You're up.
Hi, I'm not sure if I'm no spoilers because yeah,
All right,
I'm definitely gonna talk about them.
Okay, so all right then. Thank you. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
I was just basing off the artwork. So if anyone wants to like get out like for spoilers, they can leave now, and I will tell you in chat when you can come back. So 3, 2, 1. Is everyone out of the chat who wants to hear spoilers? You got the call?
I think so. I think friendly
good.
with it. Yeah.
All right. Okay, it was just friendly. Okay. So, all right. You have the stage, my friend.
Yes, I drew a lineup of all the characters in Fade to Black, which is kind of my third time doing this for the books, because all the characters you write are just full of life, and I adore them all so much. I was really torn on whether or not I wanted this piece to be what I submitted, but on Twitter, I drew the Papa D art. You might recognize him.
No, I know, and I showed it to Papa D.
And so I was like, oh man, I told her about the lineup. I need to finish it. So here's everyone. I guess I have a little design note for everyone. So I'm going to just really rapid fire through them quickly. For Rose, originally, she had a completely different like face design. But then based on Joey's comment, I was like, man, I want her to look like Audrey. So I changed her face to look a little bit more like how I draw Audrey. For Ollie, there's nothing particular about him other than his striped pants are because Baby Bendy and Dark Revival has striped pants, and I think that's really cute.
That's fun.
Dot was based on my dot design for Dreams Come to Life, obviously, and I gave her kind of a blue color scheme, both because I'm making a Wizard of Oz joke, and that goes with her red shoes. And also because I associate blue with Buddy, and so I thought that after everything that happened in the first book, she would kind of adopt his color.
Aww.
Archie was a delight to see in the book because he was my favorite Dark Revival audio log by pure coincidence, and I already had a design for him. So the scream I scrumped when I read him in the book, and I was like, I need to draw him immediately. So he got yellowed. Poor guy. Evan, I love Evan. He dresses like I dress. It's kind of funny. His glasses in particular are the clear frame ones because I found out they're historically accurate, and I'm like, I need to give this nerd clear glasses.
I did not know that. That's amazing.
I found out like last week. I had to change his glasses. It was crazy.
I love that.
I drew Gladys because I love Gladys, and I need to see more Gladys art in the world. She's everything to me. You already saw Papa D. I love him. He's great. 10 out of 10 guy. Henry
This is killing me. This is killing me. I can't even, when I saw it, when this went up, I just about died. This is so funny. I'm gonna anyway, do go on. Sorry.
Right. Henry, I was originally gonna draw Henry because I love Henry. But then I was like, I could be so funny right now and just draw an empty stool because no one can see him except Joey.
So good.
So Henry's definitely there, guys. He's definitely there.
Or is that
And then
Joe spinning chair's
the
cousin?
man, the legend.
That's-
I love Joey. I love drawing him so much. He was a delight to draw again in this lineup. You write him so well. I love him in all the books, but Fade to Black especially. Just his descent is my favorite thing in the world.
I
This is
agree 100%.
so good. I don't want to like interrupt if you have more to say, but I just want to say things.
Oh no, please. I'm done with my ramble.
It's so good. And I'm so with you. I'm so happy to see Gladys. That makes me so happy. You did such a good job on her too. Like look at, and like even a little spiral thingy for the phone cord, which like I don't know if any of you are old enough to have experienced that phone cord. But I have to say I'm like loving Evan. I think he looks actually pretty cute here. Like I'm like not gonna lie. I'm like yeah, he looks pretty good. I love the Henry thing kills me. And I did take a few images on my phone of the Papa D's to this Christmas party I was going to, where the actual Papa D. And he knows there's a character based on him in this book. I've given him a copy, whether he's read it or not is another thing. But he's a longtime friend of mine, and he works in production. He's a director himself, but he's a production coordinator and producer of things. Currently, he actually has long hair, if you can imagine it, with like the silk. But he's and his name, his name is Stephen Papademetriou, and everybody calls him Papa D. Like I didn't change his name, like I didn't do anything. Like that's just his name. I was telling Alvin that my first book, I have a lot of my friends in it. My very, very first book ever, Alex and the Ironic Gentleman. And I don't really do it much anymore, but this one I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Papa D in this book. So that was,
that's so
and he
perfect.
loved it. He genuinely loved it. He was like, oh, that's me. I'm like, yeah, it's you. He was very happy. So you should know you've got thumbs up from him as well. And the Henry's, yeah, from the real deal. And Henry, that when I saw that when this came up just now, because I saw the Papa D, but I don't know if I've seen the rest. I haven't
posted it anywhere yet. I always forget to post to my Twitter. It's a problem. I never use Twitter outside of posting art specifically.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter's complicated, isn't it? But I hope you do, because I want to like, please, if you post any art on Twitter or Instagram, please at me, because then I can like repost and share, because
I'll be sure to.
Yes. And that goes for everybody. I'm absolutely obsessed. I genuinely do love your Evan though. Like I think I have a bit of a crush on your Evan. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so funny.
Maybe I haven't I don't know. If you see my husband, he's got like dark curly hair too. I don't know. And your Rose and Ollie, I like you can see that they're from the same family. Like they're so sweet. And I love that you did that with her face to make her more like your style of Audrey, which is, I don't know. All of them. I could go through all of them. I'm so excited about Archie. I love Archie has probably the most direct, like, this is what he's wearing. Like it's probably one of the easier. We were talking about the lack of aesthetics that I give people. That one, at least, I give a very solid, because he's sort of, it's funny because in the 50s, obviously, this was a common look to have your trench coat and your fedora, but it's also such a I'm in disguise look. So if you saw something out like that now, you'd be like, well, clearly that's a person in disguise. But in the 50s, he wouldn't have, aside from his yellow skin, wouldn't have stood out too crazy. And of course, I'm always thrilled to see Dot, because, my heart.
Funny you guys mentioned the trench coat. Sorry. And also Kat mentioned cartoon aesthetic, but funny you guys mentioned that. When I first heard about Archie Carter in the game, like in Dark Revival, I always thought like he always gave me Judge Doom vibes from Roger Rabbit for some reason. That's what I thought he would look like, just like I'm not bald Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit.
Right.
And this is giving me that kind of vibe as well. So I'm very happy. Like it looks good, obviously. Like I'm very happy like it connects to like my dumb little theory.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's so good. And by the way, thank you for the compliment about Joey. I have been inside his head for 4 books. I've been more in Joey's head than anybody. I really enjoy writing him. But it's very nice to sort of, confirmation that other people, go, yes, that feels right for Joey. I mean, and you guys, I don't know if you guys saw the love stream where Dave where I did the reading and then Dave read.
It was so good.
Yes, that was so good.
I was like, obviously, I cried that whole stream. I was like, Adrienne, why are you the way you are? But that moment, I was just like, oh my gosh, hearing him say it, I was like, okay, I feel like I've got Joey, because with the voice, with my words like combined, I was like, yeah, that feels, right. And it just was this incredible. Oh, so good. Anyway,
Adrienne, on the note, I'm sorry. Sorry.
No.
I keep cutting people off. I'm sorry. But on the note of you mentioning getting emotional over the Dave thing, I want to mention that I may or may not get emotional every time before I start these damn things. So because it's a gift to be able to do all this, and get back to the community in this way. So, and there's this incredible way. So
I think the
I'm
community
very happy.
In return, I think everybody. I think it's a pretty freaking great community. I just really enjoy it. Everybody's awesome. But no, it's amazing what you sort of put together, on your own.
Yeah, I was not expecting to be able to get this far with this. Maybe I was thinking maybe I could do 1 or 2 interviews, maybe tops. But to get to do 9 tomorrow, after tomorrow, it'll be 9 interviews.
Wow.
I'm blown away, and I have so many people to thank for. I'll do it at the end though. We'll get back to that. Thank you, Reanimation Station, for your art and your wonderful contribution to this
Thank you for your
interview.
kind words. I've gone way over my 3 minutes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Next up is Joy Pauls.
That's me. Hello. So, hi. I don't know what to say about the art other than I want to draw all 3 of the characters. Not all 3 of the characters. There's more than 3 characters. I want to draw the characters from all 3 books, and I was like, how do I do that? So I just decided I'm going to draw a scene from each book or something. So we have Buddy up top with Dot. Don't ask where the light's coming from. I have no clue myself. I've always associated Dot and Buddy with the color green. I don't know why, but I did. Also, for some reason, Dot looks like me if I didn't have freckles and I needed glasses. I don't know. That's just something that happened when I designed her. I was giving her short hair. I'm like, oh, wait, that's me. I don't relate to her, though. Actually, no, I probably do. I'm also incredibly blunt, too. Anyways, in the middle, we have Bill, Constance, and Brant. Brant's my favorite character. I ended up... So, originally, Constance, I had her having longer hair, but then I was like, no, you get short hair. It was actually inspired by my mom, because my mom read it, and she had imagined Constance looking a lot like me, so I was like, short hair, there you go, honey. And, yeah, we have Constance screaming at Bill and Brand being like, okay, let's calm down a little bit here. At the bottom, we have Dot and Archie looking at each other like, oh yeah, we're going to destroy this. Let's go. And then we have Rose being very concerned about Evan because he's not doing too hot. Bud's not, guy's not doing great. Evan's just, he's not doing great.
No, I'm not doing good.
I talk a lot. I'm trying to get things out.
I want to say before Adrienne goes. Sorry, Adrienne.
No, I don't.
So I want to say I really like I love how much you expressed your interest in all. You expressed as your favorite scene from. Or I'm assuming your favorite scene from
I
each.
Like these scenes. They're good scenes. Okay. I like these scenes. They're good scenes, and they're ones where I was able to get a good idea of showing what the characters look like. I was originally gonna do the scene where Brant's sitting and Constance Ben, Bill and Constance are both talking. Good Lord, my brother's talking. But I decided, no, that's too complicated. I am not trying to do that. I have a couple days to do this. I did this in 3 days. The line art and the sketching took really long, took 2 days. Shading and coloring and stuff, that was easy. It took 1 day. I finished in the afternoon or something.
You did really good, though. You did such a great job.
I love these characters a lot.
No, it's very impressive. And again, that whole sense of movement. I want to say for your first panel, I'm not sure if you've seen the interview, but I guess it's while they were filming Helm's Deep, they were lighting the scene, and somebody asks but where's the light coming from? And they replied, the same place the music's coming from. Sometimes you just need to be able to see the damn thing, right? Like, it's still art, it's not reality, right? And I just it's nice. You can tell they're in a dark space. It's sort of a haunting atmosphere. It's like it's great. And who cares where the light's coming from? It looks fantastic. And again, lots of chiaroscuro in all three of these images. Oh, the bottom one breaks my heart though. And it's so funny because like these two in the front are like, all right, we have a plan. And like, do you not see what's happening behind? Guys, this badness behind you. Like, you're so plan focused. Somebody's really hurt.
This is my revenge for you making me cry because of dreams come to life. This is my revenge. I will not forgive you. I'm joking. I do.
These are great. I can't believe. I mean, I can believe they took as long as they did. I just can't believe the focus and attention and just the amount of work you all put in, but they put into this. Like, you can see the detail. You can, like, on Dot's vest or sweater vest or whatever, like the lines around the green, like tiny, like those little lines that are the I don't know, it's not a border, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
The seam sort of thing. It's so good. It's so good. The trim. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. I'm just, and what's amazing too is you have a very distinct style.
Thank you.
You can, with and it's quite recognizable, and at the same time, every character is unique looking. It's not like it's the sort of the same face on everybody, you know, like it's a recognizable style, but still unique characters. I love it. You know,
Buddy having for example, I have Buddy having a longer face that's more thinner, while Dot is more square, rounder face. Brant has a very round face. Well, Constance, I'm not sure what face shape she has, but Bill's kind of rectangular, but he has a chin that is very visible. Archie, I'm not sure what I did for him. It's not exactly square. It's a rectangle, probably. That's not that thin. Rose has has a round face, like just very sweet, looking very sweet. I'm not sure what I did for Evan. Probably something thinner. Probably something like eyes except wider, and then Dot again.
I mean, his face is all messed up anyway in this scene. It's all the shapes.
He's not doing great. He's doing definitely great. Wonderful.
Give him $20 to run for his money. Her money.
But yeah, I love these books a lot. So I'm gonna try hard on this art.
It's very impressive.
Thank you.
I'm always so. Jeez.
Out of all the character designs that have changed the most, it's probably Brant and Dot, because like their designs changed a lot. Like I was imagining Dot being tiny, because I'm like, yes, make Dot tiny, have Buddy be tall and Dot be tiny, and then Brant, his design, his outfit, like okay, his design always stayed the same. Like I always, even before the book came out, I gave him like blue eyes and light blonde hair, or at least some kind of blonde hair. Or his original haircut I gave him was like this cheese blonde hair. If you can guess if you know the color of cheese, you can probably imagine that. That's the color. So now he's platinum blonde, and but his outfit changed a lot. But yeah, I talk a lot. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Don't talk. Well, you're in good company. How about what?
Yeah. Thank you, Joy Pauls.
I think personally, but whatever.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to do it.
And thank you for submitting your art. And next person, we're down to the last three, guys. We have Scarlett.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
You're up.
I did this art because I just wanted to do as many characters as possible. It's all my headcanon designs. I know it's not yeah, except for Joey and the ones that I can tell. I should tell the locations of the character. From the left side, it's all dreams come to life. It's Dot, Buddy. I hit Grandpa Luick there. Buddy's mom, and then down below is the art department in the book. Dave, Richie, and Jacob. Right? I think my brain is going wild. On the right is the Lost Ones first, which is Constance, Bill, Brant, and then I hit Molly and Lily there because they're funny. And then down there it's Archie, Rose, Ollie, and Even, and in the middle is Tom and Allison, and on the top it's Joey, Abby, and Nathan, and I also drew you, which I don't know. I don't know if it looks like accurate to you or not. I'm sorry.
No, it's amazing.
No, I love this. It's so good.
This is so good. Oh, I want to say, I want. Can I? Do you guys mind if I get emails of all of the art? Like, I don't want to impose if you're not cool with it, but I would love like everybody's art if I could get it sent to me. Is that possible?
I could probably send it in chat if everyone's okay with it after the interview.
Yeah, just double check everyone's cool with it. I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm in this one. I definitely want, I want them all, obviously. Oh my God. How did you keep explaining how did you do this? Is so many characters. And they're also like, how?
I just I just planned in 1 week, like sketch and then line art, and then following shadows and lightning and stuff. Also, I have some details in it that did not really make the cut. First one is that I tried making Rose look at Dot look at Constant, and Constant look at Rose.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if that's clear or not. And the other one is that I tried to desaturate the characters, the colors of the characters who are more affiliated with the machine than others, but I felt like that didn't really work out in the end because of the shadows and all. But I tried a little bit, and also I couldn't fit Papa D. I'm so sorry. That's pretty much all I added in the picture. Yeah.
Your ink machine is fantastic too.
Everything is so good here. Yeah. I love the way you drew Adrienne and Bendy the top after looming over. The whole thing.
It's looming present. The two of us just like sorry, I missed who it was. Who's on my cheek?
Abby.
Sorry?
Abby Lambert.
Oh, that's Abby. Oh, that makes me happy. I thought it might be Abby, but I was like, who is that? Oh, that makes me so happy. I'm a big Abby fan. So do you use a tablet as well? Or
yes, I use a tablet.
Yeah, that's what it seems everybody yeah. My goodness. When you all talk about behind the scenes, like, and you point out things that I haven't noticed, like, I really think you actually did successfully get the girls looking at each other nicely. Like, you can see that triangle. It's a really neat highlighted triangle in the middle. And actually, I think your desaturation also works. I can see it's more subtle, I suppose, than maybe what you wanted initially. But I love hearing, like, the more you look at a piece of art, right? And this is everybody's art. The more you look at it, the more you see. And I love that. I'm not sure if you can see the painting. You can't really see the painting behind me. It's by an artist named John Lim. But it's one of those exact same sort of paintings. The more you look, you're like, oh, there's this in the corner, and there's, oh, look at that fruit plate. Like, it's just, you start to see more and more. And I didn't even actually notice Joey leaning on the ink machine until and just that pose on the ink. Like, it's great. It's and I am very honored to be in it. I'm like genuinely like to get to hang out with all of these characters. It's like such an honor. It's wonderful. And great use of light and shadow again. God, you guys and your light and shadow.
You're good. I'm gonna steal what Kat said in chat, and what she said was, I can describe it as one word, which I agree with because Kat wrote it before I could say it. Ambitious. This is such an ambitious piece of art. It's so good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You should be very proud of this. I hope you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Also for the machine, I didn't draw it on the spot. I drew it a few months back and just had copy pasted it because I use the ink machine a lot when I draw. So I'm about to draw one and then.
You've perfected it. You've perfected the ink machine.
I do that a lot too with certain pieces of art. Like it's okay to reuse art, so it's always good.
100%. And I mean, I guess it's not like I reuse lines, but sometimes I'll write something and something that never sort of sees the light of day. And I'm like, all right, this might never see the light of day. So I really like this one sentence. So I'm going to put this in something else. I think all of us do that as artists. When you got something good, you got to share it. Like, come on.
Yeah. Thank you, Scarlett, for your piece of art. And we're moving on to the second to last person. Just Cat.
Amazing.
Cat,
Oh,
you're up.
Melissa, you guys.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, much like everybody else here, yeah, definitely working on the same tablet I've had since 2014. Clip Studio Paint is my preferred art software. This, I'm calling it Perish in the Puddles. Name subject to change, but I feel like we got to go with that. I loved the way that you talked about puddles and Fade to Black. It was so good, and it's like, I need to have something that feels like that overwhelming, screaming well of voices sort of thing. And so that's what we're going for here. So we've got all of our POV characters together in one place in a very puddly environment. Yeah, so where everybody ends up, it's not entirely clear, but here's where I'm thinking. So poor Rose in the middle. I feel so bad for her, but oh man. So yeah, there's man, I think there's actually wow. So there's two characters that are represented here but aren't like entirely visual. We've got Joey obviously because it's his quote. This part of the book, Adrienne, I was on a car ride for 8 hours when I was reading this book to my sister's wedding.
Oh, I remember you saying that. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I had to stop myself from screaming when I got to this point. Like I was kicking my legs. It destroyed me. Yeah, so when Joey gets to this part, I'm like, no. So you've got his text here, which was a pain in the butt to arc. I had to open up a different program to make it happen.
Arcing text, actually. It's the one thing. I work in Photoshop sometimes. Arcing text, man.
Yeah, I had to open up my old copy of Illustrator CS6. It was, ooh, man. But the other text that's here, it's really hard to see, especially if you're on mobile. But in the background, we have Archie's monologue. And it's not meant to be entirely legible because I want people to actually read the book. But we've got Archie's whole thing about, you don't need to fear dying. You need to fear waking up. I also love that accidentally just the word again ended up right in the middle of Rose, like below the heart. It was so fun.
Oh, right. Yes, it is. Oh, that's so cool.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that.
I love the use of inverted colors because actually, obviously, you guys know, well, everyone knows, Bendy's like the colors are yellow, but like the lines are black. You flip that; it's a really cool transition.
Thank you.
And it's so good. It's like the lines are shiny too; they're glowing.
The glow.
I love that.
So good. I'm so with you. Did you draw it initially, yellow on black?
Actually, okay. So it's really funny that you ask that. Rose was originally, I like to keep my backgrounds as a very pale color. I did a sage green this time when I was sketching her, and she's done in black. But then when I lined her, I realized, wait, the line art looks weird. Let me try some things. And this was a very experimental piece. I don't think I've ever done anything quite like this. So she's originally black, but then I used a clipping layer to turn her lines yellow. And then I sketched everybody else just straight up in yellow because that was easier.
You were like, I get it. I get what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
No, it's
the first time thank you. It's the first time that I've lined a piece. And then I'm like, wait, doing clean line art doesn't work for this. So I introduced like some sketchiness back into it. And it's like, this feels right. And it felt good.
I think
sketchiness feels right at home with Bendy.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. It's interesting. Here goes my art history. There's an artist called Tintoretto from a long time ago, 1500. I don't know. Gosh, it's been a while since I did Art History 100, so forgive me. But essentially, he was doing art at a time, where everybody else, these very these are classic paintings, people draped and religious iconography, and I think he did a lot of religious stuff as well. But he would do it. He would layer it from dark to light, as opposed to like a blank canvas and just painting sort of like darker colors onto, like most people when you're drawing something, right? And so this is sort of makes me think of it. It's more monochrome, but like he would literally go dark to light. So he would start with a black background and like build on that, which I just sort of, this makes me sort of think of. I just know, and I love the glow. I love it. I mean, this would make a really good neon art piece. Like you could imagine if it's like literally that would be so. It's so good. I love that you have Archie's monologue under there. And I love you've got, I didn't actually read, like when you said it was all the POV characters, I'm like, oh my God, it is. That's so cool. And that is a glowing heart, right? Like,
yeah,
that's happening there. That's so lovely. That's so great. And I'm thrilled about the puddle thing. Like, you know, initially we were trying to think actually of a title for this book that might involve the word puddle somehow. Obviously the Dark Puddles Awaken, like I've always found such an evocative term. But so when I was getting into this one, it was like, puddles have to be so important somehow. And that's where the whole, you know, falling into yourself. And again, I've got anxiety, I've got some depression. It's a metaphor that I feel makes a lot of sense to me. I'm glad it resonated for people. And then I like that it sort of is a metaphorical thing and then becomes very literal by the end. And if you know you're Bendy, then you know that's coming. But it's so nice to see it sort of realized, like just on a personal level. Like I don't know if anybody else cares, but I think it's amazing. And you chose some of the like creepiest lines ever. Like I'm like, Adrienne, what's wrong with you? Like I'm like, creepy.
No, I think it's what's right with you. You did an amazing job. I was blown away, and thank you so much.
Thanks. This is amazing. I stand by my request. I want all of them, please, if you guys give me permission. Obviously.
Yeah, guys.
Asking you shall receive.
I don't need to share them. I just love.
Okay.
I mean, gosh, they're so good. You guys are so. Oh, my cat just realized. I told you it was going to happen. He's just woken up. He's just.
Before we get to the last person.
He went to get food. All right, he's fine.
Before we go to the last person, I'll ask everyone at the end if they're okay with me sending Adrienne the art, or you can just do it yourself. Unless you want me to do it, then that's fine. But I'll ask at the end when everyone's back in call, like when Friendly comes back. So I'll do a big announcement anyway. So, and thank you again, Kat, for joining us.
So,
and we are on to the last, but certainly not least person, Luck of the Claws.
Wow.
Is Luck of the Claws here? Or?
Oh no.
I sent a link to them, right? Yeah, I sent a link.
I mean,
oh wait, I forgot. Good. Okay, so I forgot. Luck of the Claws told me they had a therapy appointment today, so they told me they told me to talk for them. So they gave a quote. I forgot about that. Sorry, Luck, if you're watching. I forgot about that. Anyway, so what Luck wrote was, Hi Adrienne, I'm such a huge fan. I'm sorry I can't be there. This art of Joey is from Fade to Black and Hallucination to Henry, or the Henry Hallucination, as I like to call him. That's actually a really cool name. I keep thinking about the way Joey perceives Henry, and this is the sense of hating him for leaving, excuse me, but also thinking he never left everything, and thinking if he never left, everything would have gone right. Okay, I lost myself. Where to leave off? Okay. And I'm needing the thought of him as much as he. Well, I'm sorry. It's like all right spacing together for me. My eyes are very weird right now. So it says the sense of hating him for leaving, but also thinking if he never left everything would have gone right. Of needing the thought of him as much as he needs to be angry at it. And what you said during the AMA about him seeing Henry's hallucinations, because that's who he wanted to see. That's a cool line. Let's see. Those are the things that this piece is about. The title is Wishful Thinking. And then Lucky wrote, the Henry hallucination is cast in the jello light, with his expressive when his expression is blank, and his face is in the shadow. His eyes and hand are glowing in the same color. Joey's eyes are also in the fantasy caused by. No wait, fuck! I skipped the whole line. Sorry, I'm so sorry for butchering this. I'm terrible at reading stuff usually out loud. Okay, here we go. Joey's eyes are also in the light to indicate what he's seeing isn't real. The yellow light kind of represents the fantasy caused by the hallucinations and the glasses of the cycle. The hallucination of Henry is also meant to be pristine, and calm, with the lines being so very smooth compared to Joey's more rough and outlined and exaggerated / exhausted expression. No, haggard / exhausted expression. And that's all Lucky wrote. Once again, Lucky, I'm so sorry for butchering half of that. I apologize when you'll be watching this later, but I think you'll understand. I love this piece so much. It looks very nice. I really, really like it. What do you think, Adrienne?
I mean, not obviously. No, I love it. I love, again, this whole light and shadow, which I guess is such an aesthetic theme, but also theme for Bendy. So it makes sense that so much art, focuses on it, because it is the light and the dark and shadow and stuff. But in this, I just love how very precise, and you can see the delineation of the lines and how the light actually represents something as well, and how the being crossed over. Like the whole explanation was just beautiful, and I think it's entirely realized. I think sometimes we have intentions with our art, but you're like, oh, does the audience see that? And I 100% see that. I love the expression on Joey's face. It's so the haggard, yeah, for sure, but it's so years and years of sort of self torment. It's not necessary, Joey. Like, just be good. You don't have to be like that. It's just wonderful, and the way they're looking, and just that calm pose that Henry has. It's like, and somebody in the chat, I'm sorry, I just saw in your frame about lives rent free in his head. He's like, it's just Henry's doing his own thing in reality, but in Joey's world, he's just every day he's thinking about Henry. It's just, and you can see that, you can see the weight it's put on him, how much so he probably hates it. He probably hates that he thinks about him so much. And I love, again, we're bringing in the yellow and the black, from the Bendy aesthetic, and from, as they said, as Lucky said, from the cycle, and just, but it's also used it's not to represent more than that. I think it's wonderful. And again, so much emotion. I just find it so incredible how just a few lines like that can suddenly evoke so much emotion. Like, there's so much emotionality in this one. Guys, you guys are so impressive. It's just ridiculous. It's almost offensive. No, it's wonderful. It's really, really great. No notes. Not that I have any notes for anybody. But
thank you, Lucky. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Thank you, Look at the Claws, for your art. I'm going to stop screen sharing now and conclude it from here. Let's see. Okay, I stopped screen sharing, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I did. So, it's saying I'm still sharing. What the heck? Okay,
no.
Okay, there we go. Stop.
I don't see anything.
Okay, all right. That is all for this episode of Inky News, the season 2 debut with Adrienne Kress. And before we go, please check out the upcoming stream movie print, which I will link in the description, and you saw the ad for in the video. I worked really hard with Aaron to make sure it was pretty cool. I hope you all will enjoy it. And until tomorrow, when we have the next interview with Van Notes. See you guys then. Goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for having me.